Okay, so we're going on to number three, but I just remembered there was something I was going to say about Fargo before I forget. What did you think about this? Because I felt really bad for Steve Buscemi every time the witnesses were explaining him. They always described him as funny looking, like the prostitutes. Like when they're
Yeah,
talking to him, says, so you were having sex with the funny looking one? He's like, yeah. And she's, how's he funny looking? Oh, I don't know, just funny looking. And the other one looked like the Marlboro Man. And then there's a bit where there's this guy sweeping, isn't there? And he's really funny. And he goes, oh yeah, so this guy comes and he's just kind of funny looking. And he goes, what do you mean funny looking? He goes, oh, in a general kind of way, just funny looking. I was like, poor Steve Buscemi's been described the whole time as being funny looking. Yeah, so, but yeah, that was funny. Was there anything you want to say about that? Or do you want to crack on?
poor old Steve. I think,
He's
well,
so
he went
good.
and worked with him again, so
Yeah,
you
he's
should
a
take
really
it
good
to heart.
character actor.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi's great.
Yeah, I love him.
And speaking of which,
Mm-hmm.
my number three is The Big Lebowski.
Aha! I was wondering if you're going to go into the Big Lebowski. Okay. Yeah, I love that
Yeah,
film.
it's great. Yeah, I love this one.
Why number three,
It's
The Big
just
Lebowski?
so this is like the perfect formula of Coen comedy, I think. So
Yeah.
it's got all the quirky comedy, the quirky characters, um, and then underneath is this kind of strange detective story.
Mm.
But it's not kind of conventional. So
It's very
the dude,
strange, isn't it? It's just this
yeah,
poor homeless guy, like who's just minding his own business in his own little world with his mates. All of a sudden, gets sort of thrown into this weird plot of kidnapped or
yeah,
whatever.
and he sort of drifts from and discovers things almost by accident. So he just
Yeah,
drifts from place to place and never quite solves anything. So it's just this really kind of weird anti-detective story.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so you got the dude played by Jeff Bridges.
Who's who
Uh,
makes look he just makes unemployment look amazingly fun. I just want to
yeah,
walk around the supermarket dressed like that. Can I do that one day?
I think people do that in Tesco's
Do
quite a lot,
they?
don't they?
With a big shabby cardigan and shorts and just flip flops.
Yeah,
Just
but
wander around.
he just wore his own clothes as
He
well.
did,
So
didn't he? That was his own
yeah,
cardigan.
no, it's just such a great character,
It
and it's
is.
just one of those films. It's got all the quirky comedy and the physical comedy, but it's got all these great lines as well. So it's just really, quotable.
Yeah. And what was his real name, by the way? The dude? Because he's just called the dude. He's called
So
Lebowski, isn't he?
it's yeah, Lebowski, yeah.
But then
So
he's
it's
not the one
Lebowski.
they're looking for. He's a different Lebowski. But
Yeah,
they
he's a different one.
but they
He's
go
the
to
dude.
yeah, those guys go and pee all over his rug, and it's the wrong
Yeah,
one they're meant to go to. Something
yeah,
like that. Because the other one is rich, isn't he?
yeah. So they've got kind of embroiled, and he's been accidentally embroiled in this strange
Situation.
plot that these German nihilists have kind of concocted. Uh, because they've faked a kidnapping again of
Well,
Bunny
she did.
Lebowski,
She kidnapped
the guy's
herself,
daughter.
didn't she?
Well, she sort of disappeared off, and then while she was off, on a weekend away or something, these opportunistic German nihilists
Oh, yeah, yeah, I remember now.
faked the kidnapping, didn't they? Yeah.
They
So
fake it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
one of them, she was a porn actress, and then one of these Germans was also a porn actress, porn actor.
Porn actor.
Sorry.
That's another plot to the story.
Yeah.
He's had a sex
So
change.
yeah. So he was this porn actor called Carl Hungus.
I remember now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, no, it was just this really odd story that keeps getting progressively weirder. And then you've got Julianne Moore's character, who's like the
Artist.
stepdaughter of this of Mr. Lebowski, who basically isn't as rich as he seems because he's basically inherited all the money from her mother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, she gets involved, and then she basically uses the dude for his sperm because she wants to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He wants to have a kid. So there's just all these little weird subplots that sort of come in and then disappear. But it all
Every time we
still
kind of
works.
hear about it, she pops up in his dream at the beginning, doesn't she? Where he's based. Is it a dream or he's just been smoking pot or something? Yeah,
I think
he's been doing
he's having
drugs or
some
something.
sort of dream or fantasy, or it might be when he's been knocked out.
Yeah, or
So he
just been
sees.
taking something, and it has that that funny song, and where he's going bowling, isn't he? There's that scene where he's lying on his back, and then there's all these women, and he's looking up their skirts. And he said that day that they shot that, um, his daughters and wife came to see because they wanted to see what he did, and he's like, "Why didn't you come on this day?" And they had no idea that they were shooting that day, and that was the day where he was looking up these at their skirts, and he's on a skateboard basically going under, on the 10-pin bowling thing. Oh, it's so funny. Is there anything you want to say about that?
I think it gets better and better every time I watch it as well.
Yeah, it's so
and
funny.
I remember all the new lines, and it's just really funny. John Goodman, especially.
Yeah, well, this is what I was going to bring up, was when, like, this is poor Steve Buscemi again. Like, he's so mean to. He's like, shut the. Tommy, you don't know what you're talking about. Shut the. Up.
Well, this was like a
shut
slight
the duck up.
to Fargo as well, because in Fargo, his character, Steve Buscemi's character, is just like talking non-stop.
Yeah.
He has to fill the void that the other guy, leaves him because he doesn't say a word.
Yeah.
Except when he's asking for pancakes.
Yeah.
So his character's very verbal, doesn't stop talking. So that's why in The Big Lebowski, every time he opens his mouth, shut the, what.
So he's kind of like the opposite, because he barely talks, really, doesn't he, in this one?
Yeah.
But he's such a sweet guy, and then he has like a heart attack towards the end. And there's that bit where they spread his ashes in the ocean. He goes, I remember when I was in Vietnam, because you weren't in Vietnam. What the you talking about? It's like,
I think, because John Goodman's character, he just seems to relate everything to Vietnam.
Oh, that's it. I forgot about that.
And this is a bit of an in-joke, because his whole character and his look is based off this director called John Milius.
Oh, okay.
So John Milius, he directed Conan the Barbarian, Red Dawn. I think he co-wrote Apocalypse Now.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of done a lot of things based around Vietnam.
Ah.
Kind of very militaristic feel as well.
Yeah, because he does have that look about him in the film, doesn't he? It's like the glasses and the what do you call it? The t-shirt and the trousers.
Yeah. So it's a little kind of homage to John Milius.
He's so funny in that film.
People used to make a joke of him being obsessed with Vietnam.
Yeah, he's like, why? So what are you talking about? You didn't even go to Vietnam.
Yeah. Walter, this is nothing like Vietnam.
Yeah, I just thought that in that Steve Buscemi was so adorable in that film, as poor Donnie trying to say something. He's just such a nice guy, and Steve Buscemi gets it all the time, doesn't he? Because he's like had so many deaths in films, and I remember him doing an interview thinking when he read The Big Lebowski, he's like, oh, this is such a nice guy, I've got to play him. And he goes, at the end, he got to the end, oh damn, he dies. Because he's always getting killed off. I think the only time he doesn't get killed off in films was in Reservoir Dogs. Or does he get killed? Do we know? We don't know, do we?
He gets killed off screen, so you see.
Because we hear say hold and a shot, but do we actually know if he actually gets killed, or it's just a gunshot and they miss him?
It's suggested, but maybe we can just think that he got away.
Yeah, well, it's meant to leave it up to the viewers to decide for themselves, don't they? I think, like you, that he probably got killed in the end. So, but then you can also say, oh, it was just like a missed shot and he got away. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So that's always a film, I think, because we don't visually see him die or hear of any, like you don't hear another character talking about that he's passed away or whatever. So that's always a film that I think, oh, that's the only film he survives in. Reservoir Dogs. But yeah, he talks
Yeah.
about how he thought he'd survive in The Big Lebowski, and he got to the end and he's, oh no, I'm dead again. But yeah, what did you think of uh the John Turturro character who we were talking about earlier, who says don't F with the
Yeah.
Jesus?
Well, I mean, if you want to have a cameo that stands out, that's quite a cameo to have. It's just got the one scene and it really stands out.
It's
So
absolutely
did you know that?
bonkers.
Yeah. Did you know they made a sequel
No,
based on that character?
was that the one with Bill Murray?
No, this was. I mean, this was more recent, so it was only like 2 or 3 years ago. But they made a character about his that character. They made a film.
The Coen
She,
brothers.
no,
Oh,
so
someone
this is
else.
someone
Okay.
else different.
Okay.
John Turturro came back, and I think he produced it. I don't think it really got much attention
No.
uh, because again, you've got a cameo character, and you're trying to squeeze it out over
Well,
a
you're
whole
trying to
movie.
carry on, and I guess there's only so much you can do of it, really. Do you know what I mean? It's supposed to be like a quick sort of fun thing, and you have to then you
Yeah.
think, how the hell
So
do I
he's playing
flesh
it
it
quite
out?
big, so he
Yeah.
stands out in those scenes, and he's such a sort of odd character,
Yeah.
which has got a really dark underbelly to him as well.
It's a
When you
bit
find
like
out, why he's been in jail.
do you remember when Tom Cruise did his outrageous cameo in Tropic Thunder?
Yeah,
Yeah, like that
I
was.
mean, it's even smaller than that role.
What I was going to say, it's so
Well, yeah,
unexpected to see him in a film like that because he's quite.
yeah,
I mean, he's a serious actor, and he's done obviously throughout the years action, but for primarily he's a very film kind of talk properly serious film actor, isn't he? So he's done a lot of work, and he's proven himself to be a good actor despite being a bit bonkers. So I won't go into that, but yeah. So that's just a strange film. But they did say, I think he did say that he was trying to make a film out of him with Ben Stiller because Ben Stiller directed it and he's friends with him. But you think, I don't think they'd be able to carry that out with just, do you know what I mean? As him as the main lead throughout a whole film.
no, I don't
Because
think
you
so.
need the
No,
other people around him, and that's.
yeah, and you need to be in that one moment in your one scene or whatever it is
Yeah.
where you just stand out
Yeah,
and do
exactly.
something that's quite eye catching.
Yeah.
So trying to do that over the course of a film is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Because then you have to try and bring in other cameos, different sort of one-off characters to sort of do
Balance
the same
it
thing
out, I
that he
guess.
did in Lebowski or
Yeah. So
whatever
it
it was.
didn't do very well then, that sequel.
No, I think it was more or less sort of straight to video, and not too many people saw it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
The
don't
reviews
remember.
weren't terrible, but
Not good.
no,
So.
not sort of, a bit sort of forgettable.
Yeah. Is there
But
anything
then
else?
you're following one of the biggest sort of cult comedies
Yeah.
that's been made, so it's quite difficult.
Did you know that they do like there's these big conventions of the Big Lebowski, so it's just like all kinds of fans go to these conventions. It's a bit like Comic-Con, isn't it, where they dress up.
Yeah.
And they go to these and they dress up as the characters. And they just,
Yeah, so I mean, it's just got this really big following.
Yeah, it's a cult
and
thing,
it's just
really.
one of those films that lends itself to being, endlessly quoted. So like almost every line, a bit like the with Nell and I as well.
Yeah,
it's that
yeah.
kind of film which is just, endlessly quotable.
Yeah. No, it's a really good film. I just think the dude is like the funniest, and he just makes unemployment look so cool. It's just like, I really want to try dressing up like the dude and just walk around looking at him like one day.
Yeah.
Go to Sainsbury's like that, that'd be funny. But I like the bit where he goes, I'm the dude, El Duderino, whatever.
Yeah.
If you're into that, was it Bravity thing or whatever? And he's just like, I'm not Lebowski, I'm the dude, El Duderino.
Yeah.
But so is there anything else you want to say about it? But until you go on to number 2.
No, should we go on to number 2?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my number 2. So my number 1 and 2 is these two that kind of switch around every now and again.
Okay.
So I had a long time mulling over this one, but my number 2 is No Country for Old Men.
Okay. Was that the one with Javier?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Javier Bardem with the famous coin toss scene.
Yeah, to be honest,
So
I've never seen it. I have to watch it.
yeah,
But I know he's absolutely terrifying in it.
he is. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing kind of plays out almost like the Terminator. So he's
Mm.
almost like the Terminator in
Oh,
it.
that's a very
He's
interesting
this like relentless kind of
killing machine.
killer that's hunting down Josh Brolin.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, Josh Brolin's character, he's out hunting one day, and he happens upon this kind of scene where a drug deal's gone awry and everyone's ended up dead.
Mm-hmm.
He finds a case full of money, like $2 million in it, and opportunistic, he takes it.
Uh-huh.
But he finds one guy who's just barely alive in the back of this car. The guy's asking him for water, and so he just leaves him there. Goes back home, takes this money with him. But then in the middle of the night, he gets this sudden bout of conscience.
Yeah.
Goes back and takes water for this guy. So by the time he gets there, the guy's dead.
Uh-huh.
But then, a few Mexican drug dealers have appeared as he's, back at this site, and they're now, hunting him.
Oh, okay.
So he, by going back, he accidentally encounters, a like backup team of, drug dealers.
Right.
So he goes on the run. Meanwhile, he's also got Javier Bardem after him as well.
Okay.
So Bardem has been hired by the company that was on the other side of the drug deal.
Right.
You've got Mexican drug dealers, and you've got this corporate company doing
Trying
a deal
to...
that's gone completely wrong, Coen style.
Yeah.
So, and then Josh Brolin has opportunistically picked up this $2 million. Seems like a windfall, but then obviously it's going to go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
As it always does. So then, he's being hunted basically for the rest of the film by Javier Bardem.
Right, okay.
Because Bardem's character has got this weird sense of honor and this weird way of doing things. So he's working for this company, but he's not really working for them.
Right.
So he ends up kind of rebelling against them and killing everyone else.
Okay.
He goes and kills the head of the company because he feels like the guy has dishonored him.
Okay.
And he's got this thing with the coin toss where he'll ask someone, choose heads or tails.
Oh, I've seen this bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and if they choose the wrong thing, then they'll die. If
Yeah,
they choose
yeah,
the
yeah.
right side, they live.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
which is terrifying. I think. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
so that's
what?
his whole logic of how random it is about
Yeah.
living or dying.
Wow. So that's
Yeah, so it's just a really exciting film, and then an extra element is Tommy Lee Jones is this world-weary kind of sheriff
mm-hmm.
that sees all this carnage, and he can't really make sense of it.
Yeah.
So he's trying to make sense of the whole thing, and it's this kind of philosophical aspect that gets put in the film as well.
Okay.
So it's got this really, interesting extra layer of Tommy Lee Jones who's facing his own mortality because he's old.
And he's a really good actor, Tommy Lee Jones, isn't he?
Yeah, I love Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, you're saying.
So he's got such a kind of expressive face.
Yeah.
Without even having to say anything.
No. I loved him in.
I mean,
sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say I really liked him in The Fugitive.
Yeah. So that's a very kind of strong role that he plays. Very kind of intense and
yeah.
He's commanding. But he's very much more laid back in this one and more kind of like thoughtful and pondering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's this great chase movie with lots of things happening that were going wrong.
Yeah.
As per normal in Coen's.
Spectacularly wrong.
Yeah.
A big car crash of a.
Yeah, and it kind of it plays like a mixture of like an action thriller like the Terminator and maybe some old westerns as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I have to watch it.
So, okay. But I mean, it's a really great looking film as well.
Yeah,
so
it does look amazing.
Yeah. And this was the big one that really kind of got them their first
Oscar, didn't it? Well, she won an Oscar for
best. I think they'd had writing they'd had writing before, but this got directing as well.
Yeah.
And then this kind of was a bit of a, had a really good Oscar that year. So Javier Bardem won as well.
Okay.
And I think Roger Deakins, he got nominated, or he might have won for cinematography as well.
Right. Okay.
I think this was the same year that There Will Be Blood came out, so there was a big rivalry between those two films.
Okay. Yeah, and that was his real hair. That was his real hairstyle, wasn't it, Javier Bardem? It wasn't a wig. He actually he actually had to he managed to grow his hair out like that, so he had to hold it like that the whole
But there is
time.
something weirdly kind of the way he plays it, so almost inhuman.
Yeah. So he is kind of like the Terminator, based on.
Yeah, he's almost like the Terminator. And there's a few scenes that mirror the Terminator as well.
Oh, really?
So do you remember the first Terminator film where
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger's robot is sort of injured, and he's repairing himself in the mirror?
Yeah.
They're doing all these repairs, like changing his eye and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah,
So
that was quite gross. Yeah.
Yeah, Javier Bardem has a similar scene where he's, fixing a bullet wound in his leg.
Oh, so it's
kind of
cringeworthy.
Yeah, there's some good action in it. It's quite minimalist action though.
Yeah.
So it's quite punchy and really tense.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a really exciting film.
No, I have to definitely give it a go. Do you want to go on to number one before we wrap up?
Yeah, let's do number one.
Okay.
So number one, this one is like really grown on me every time I watch it. So this kind of shot up the list.
Okay.
So this is their first film, Blood Simple.
Okay, which I've never seen, but I know, was that their very first film?
That was their first film, yeah. So this was Frances McDormand as well.
Yep.
And she's the lead role in it.
Okay.
So what happens is there's this wife of this club owner who's quite successful. She's having an affair, and with this other guy who works for her husband. Meanwhile, our husband hires a private investigator because he suspects this. And then basically this starts off this whole plot where the husband wants the wife dead. The husband ends up dead. And then all these things are happening, and it's just, lots of people end up dead as well.
Okay.
So it's classic Coen.
Yeah.
And then the private investigator, meanwhile, has got his own kind of agenda as well. So he's trying to set things up to make it look like the wife has killed the husband.
Okay.
To, pit the wife against her lover. So it's complex, and it's just a really great kind of noir film.
Yeah, I have to. Did that come out in the 80s or the 90s?
It was, the 80s.
Okay. No, I've got to watch it. I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's a low budget film, so a lot of it is shot at night as well, which makes it look really great because there's lots of neons, lots of shadows, and it's very like a classic neo-noir. And it's got the classic, everything you see in like all their kind of great, capers like No Country for Old Men and Fargo, where everything's going wrong. It all started with Blood Simple.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay, so that was
plan, this simple plan just gets progressively worse, and it just, people end up dead.
They seem to follow this theme a lot, I've noticed.
It's definitely a recurring theme, but I think, like I say,
it works well for them.
Really does it better.
Yeah. I don't think anyone else would be able to pull it off as well as them, would they?
Yeah.
Because it seems to be. You're right. There is a kind of ongoing theme going on now with all of their films that we've talked about.